We mentioned Australia, the trans-Tasman rivals of New Zealand. They are up next, taking on Bangladesh. We'd like to say it's an evenly matched contest, the way Bangladesh has said, but we'll maybe have to give Australia just a slight bit of an edge. 5 times world champions and world champions in waiting, Bangladesh. Certainly, no matter what you say about them, Australians will keep a close eye on that. They will not treat them the way they perhaps would have a few years ago.
I think that's absolutely true. No team will treat Bangladesh the way they did, 4 years or 5 years ago. They're a different side. They're not minnows anymore. Those words are far away from what they perform now. I think the only thing is that given the fact that these are English conditions and not in Bangladesh, it would have been a much more equal match in subcontinental conditions. Here you still have to give Australia the edge, definitely. But it's a much closer contest than you'd think.
Now, in terms of personnel, Zahir, we've obviously had the news of Shikhar Dhawan now being finally ruled out. Rishabh Pant comes in. Mitchell Marsh also flew out, but he won't be required at the moment because the news about the side strainer Marcus Stoinis is that he's all right to play. Alex Carey said that at the press conference.
Oh, so he's available for tomorrow's match?
He's available for tomorrow's game.
Okay. So we'll have to wait and see whether he walks back in the playing 11 or they continue with the combination which they've been playing with, and Kane Richardson continues to play in that playing 11. That we'll have to wait and see. Behrendorff is someone who had come in the last match as well. So Trent Bridge will have extra bounce. So that is something which we'll have to see now what kind of approach Australian team will go in with. Their batting is coming so good. Finch, Warner both are amongst the runs. So that's something which they would want to continue with. But I think Trent Bridge might have that extra bounce which will make it easier for Australia to continue the dominance in this tournament. So they have the bowling attack to exploit the conditions. We've seen how West Indies used it against Pakistan, which worked in a very positive way for them. So we'll have to see how Bangladesh goes on about. They will certainly have the confidence from the last win, and they will fancy their chances to beat Australia as well if they put the runs on board. But with them, it's always going to be a question of them putting runs on board and wicket being on a slightly slower side. That's something which they will.
We'll come to Bangladesh in a moment. Just staying with Australia. So just the consensus here, if you're talking about Shaun Marsh being the possible one making way, gives you the extra option with the ball, Marcus Stoinis, and a little bit in the middle.
You have to, because the big problem is that if you look at what Bangladesh is going to do, Bangladesh is going to target Maxwell. Because, you cannot have Maxwell being your only option for 10 overs, which is what they had to do once Stoinis was out. So I think what will definitely happen is, because they're going to tell themselves that the only way, exactly as he said, Bangladesh will get themselves into the game is to score 300 or to be able to chase a big one. So if that's the case, I would rather play an extra bowler than an extra batsman. I don't think the Bangladeshi bowling would worry them as much as the Bangladeshi batting or their capacity. Remember, these guys, how have they won? They've chased big totals or they put really big totals on the board and allowed to see. So they have to play Stoinis tomorrow. I don't think there's any way they can't. They have to play 6 bowlers tomorrow.
Especially if you've named him and you said he's fit, obviously you get him straight back into the team. What about Bangladesh? We've constantly told you about those possibilities of, Sabir Rahman hasn't really played, Abu Jayed, Rubel Hussain, the constant question we ask. But if you've got a reasonable winning combination, the only change they made last time, and what a change it turned out to be, Liton Das coming in for Mohammad Mithun, and he said he wants to make this World Cup his own. He wants to make it a career-changing tournament for himself.
3 sixes in a row, he's on a roll, absolutely. No, the only change you could have thought of one match before was Rubel coming in for Saifuddin. But the way Saifuddin bowled in the last match, I don't think you can now go back and say that, he's somebody who dropped immediately. I think right now they'll say we have a set combination, this is done well.
9 wickets in the tournament, so he's not going to tinker with that. Obviously, the only reason you might have brought in Rubel is if you were playing a team where a little extra pace might help. Against Australia, taking pace off, more spin as much as possible.
Their plans are pretty much going to remain the same. I think they're approaching the game in such fashion that around 330, if that's the par score on that track, they're looking to restrict the opponent to the par score on that particular track and fancying their chances and backing their batting to get that. And the kind of form Shakib is in is certainly helping them achieve that consistently. So I think Bangladesh will certainly put up a good show in tomorrow's match. just because they have that belief and confidence now. I'm just liking the way Murtuza also is handling his troops. There is confidence and not overconfidence. So that is important with Bangladesh as well. That they've won the matches, but now they've started to go on with the mindset that okay, we're going to win matches, and we're going to win matches consistently, and we're not going to get complacent, because that's something which they're making conscious effort of being vocal about. That yes, we have a good chance of qualifying. They're talking about all those positive things, and they're really believing in them and backing by their actions. So hope that they restrict Australia to a pass score. If it goes beyond their reach, I think playing against Australia, if Australia bats first and they get to 360, 370, then it's going to be very difficult for Bangladesh to get that kind of total. But if Australia bat first and Bangladesh restricts them for anywhere between 300, 330, and the wicket, I'm just talking about wicket being supporting of that kind of total, then I think it will be an interesting game to witness, because Bangladesh has the confidence now of getting those runs, because they've dealt with the short bowling very well.